Good evening and welcome back to the Shit Talkers show, where the takes are hot, the analysis is questionable, and the league is somehow getting weirder every single week. We just wrapped up round 2, and I'm telling you now, if you thought last week was chaos, this week has completely blown the doors off it. Bobby Baxter is my name, and I'm joined, as usual, by Lenny Giordano and Sally Fairbank.
We've got upsets, rivalries going completely off the rails, tribunal-worthy incidents, and I'm fairly certain at least 3 teams should now be under investigation.
And I've got the Shit Talkers League Coaches Association champion player votes coming up later. And let me tell you, there are already a few names starting to separate themselves from the pack.
Before we get into it, let's check in with the smoothest man in the building. Reggie, Velvet Thunder King, how's the ST Funk Express feeling tonight?
Loose, Bobby, baby. Real loose.
I like that, because after what we just watched this weekend, we're going to need rhythm, and possibly counseling.
You want smooth or you want chaos?
Give me smooth now. We'll earn the chaos.
All right, Express. Take him somewhere safe before we take M somewhere dangerous.
Tiger Frau edge it in a tight one, and it's exactly what you'd expect. A team full of supervillains just barely holding off a bunch of blokes who look like they've walked straight out of a 1987 pub brawl. So how did they get it done? Matthew Falls went upstairs and got Donald Trump involved to help rig things behind the scenes. After realising just how gullible Les Pants Riley had become, especially after taking advice from dual wooden spooner Roger Mortier last week, Trump saw an opportunity. Pre-game, he reaches out to Les and says,
"Hey Les, I hear you've been getting advice from Roger. Smart, very smart. But listen, there's this young man Sherry, he's the real deal. You've got to make him captain."
Now the funny part is, Matthew Falls himself had absolutely no intention of captaining Sherry. The result? Total confusion inside the Riley Boys Tigers camp, and Tiger Frau walk away with a 36-point win. The Dodgy Wogs have pulled off a massive upset, and it went right down to the wire. I'm still not sure what's more surprising, Con the Fruiterer dominating the game, or the Roaring Tigers managing to lose despite having what feels like half the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame running through their midfield. But the moment that sealed it came from the most unlikely source, 2025's most unwanted man, Ange Postecoglou. After being brutally sacked by Tottenham Hotspur, Jungleland, Sizzling Grill, and somehow even Nottingham Forest, Ange found himself with one last shot. Seconds left on the clock, ball on the half-forward flank. He could have taken the simple option and hit Sav Rocker, who was standing all alone in the goal square. Instead, Ange backs himself, dribbles it from 30 metres out, and nails it straight off the turf with 1 second remaining. Dodgy Wogs by 12, and somehow Ange might have just saved his career. And here we go, rivalry chaos. The Munchers have done the unthinkable and knocked off the Phlegm Dogs. Daenerys Targaryen looked like she was about to burn the MCG to the ground, while Forrest Gump just kept running through the midfield all day. No one could go with him. At the other end, Matthew Richardson kicked a bag and still wasn't happy. In fact, he was furious. Why? Because his teammates only kicked it to him 43 times out of 48 inside 50 entries. Post-match, Richo absolutely unloaded, putting Robin Nahas on notice and openly threatening to bring in Greg Tivendale if standards didn't lift. This rivalry has completely lost the plot, and the Munchers, who haven't gone back-to-back since 1976, are reportedly still celebrating like they've just won the premiership.
Thunderstruck absolutely torched Dunder Mifflin. Bon Scott and Lemmy turned the game into a full-blown live concert, racking up 38 disposals each and completely controlling the tempo. Meanwhile, over at Dunder Mifflin, Michael Scott tried to declare bankruptcy at quarter time. Unfortunately for him, that's not how football works. The lowlight came down back, where Stanley Hudson parked himself at full back, refused to move, and simply watched as the ball sailed over his head time and time again. In the end, It was a 184-point demolition, one of the biggest wins Thunderstruck have ever recorded. The Spuds keep rolling. Spud man dominated in the ruck despite giving up a full metre in height to King Neptune, while Gene Simmons somehow kicked 5 goals despite being outsized by 50 kilos against Ursula. Nothing about this team of Spuds makes sense, but at this point it doesn't matter. They just keep winning. Sacred Snapper were completely overrun, going down to Smilly's squad by 106 points in what turned into a full-on mashing. Relica starting to look genuinely frightening. With Tony Lockett, Gary Ablett Sr. and Dustin Martin all in the same side, it's starting to feel less like a team and more like a cheat code. Crystal Jones has somehow assembled a squad stacked with Brownlow and Coleman medalists, and at some point someone really should be auditing the salary cap. Jungle landed Jake at Elwood Blues, trying to hold things together down back, but even the Blues brothers couldn't stop the avalanche. Relic run away with it by 118 points.
Androgynous rock icons versus the Muppets, and the rock icons get the job done. David Bowie controlled the game, Prince did whatever he felt like, and even Michael Jackson chipped in with a couple late. Houdini's rivals had their moments, Animal brought chaos, and Swedish Chef tried to manufacture something, but when it mattered most, they simply disappeared. Which, to be fair, is kind of their thing. The Paul Stanleys win comfortably by 84 points. Speaking of disappearing acts, Lalor of the Wild tried their usual tricks, but Chris Macca and Lalor weren't buying it this time. This is what a rivalry is supposed to look like, absolute chaos. Two teams with almost identical names, commentators completely lost, and players doing things that make no sense. Shane Warne sledging ghosts, John Cena appearing out of nowhere to lay tackles, and Larry Bird somehow dominating in footy boots like it's the most natural thing in the world. In the end, Lalor get it done by 40 points against Lalor of the Wild, but there's absolutely nothing normal about this matchup. This was Giants versus Wrestlers, and it played out exactly how you'd expect. Sizzling grill stars, Hulk, King Kong and Godzilla made it feel completely unfair at times. Even The Undertaker looked undersized out there. To their credit, the Vipers tried to use their lack of height to their advantage. Late in the second term, Randy Orton climbed onto the Rock's back, launched himself into the air, and delivered an RKO on Chewbacca that sent him straight off with concussion. But in the second half, Sizzling Grill responded. Andre the Giant took matters into his own hands, flattening Orton with a bonsai drop before following up with an elbow on Azza Brown for good measure. That was enough to secure Sizzling Grill a 19-point win, and both Orton and Andre now find themselves heading to the tribunal.
Abs Magic just quietly keep winning, and somehow a team with this much hype has still managed to fly under the radar. Tiny Soprano controlled everything down back, Michael Corleone orchestrated the midfield, and up forward, Johnny Sack and Vito Corleone both finished with 4 goals apiece. Camrita Tigers never really stood a chance. David Attenborough was left narrating the collapse in real time.
And here, we see the Camrita Tigers folding in their natural habitat.
Abs Magic cruised to a 145-point win. Forget about it.
I've got one question. Are we sure this is still a football league?
No. Not after what we just watched.
We've got Giants flattening wrestlers, politicians influencing results, and Attenborough calling games.
Yeah, we've lost control.
We never had it.
Well, if that's where the league's at, let's try and make some sense of at least one team.
Good luck with that, but I'll give it a shot.
Sally's Spotlight.
Tonight's Spotlight is on Sizzling Grill, and honestly, what we're watching right now shouldn't even be legal. You've got giants, monsters, and mythical creatures running around like it's a normal football side, and somehow it's working. Sir Duncan the Tall is dominating up forward, Brenton Heron is controlling games on ground level, and Andre the Giant is now sending blokes to the hospital mid-match. They're not just winning, they're physically overwhelming teams. And right now, they look like a genuine problem for the rest of the league.
All right, Let's take a look at the STL Coaches Association Champion Player of the Year leaderboard. After round 2, as it's still early, we yet to see any separation. A few big names are consistently polling. The likes of Tony Lockett, Daenerys Targaryen, Spud Man, and Freddie Mercury are all right in the mix. And keep an eye on players like Tina Turner and Con the Fruiterer. They're quietly putting together very strong seasons. In the goal kicking, it's exactly what you'd expect. The big power forwards are dominating early. Lockett, Garrigo, Richardson, and Aussie Ostrich are all right up there. And if this keeps up, we're in for a serious Coleman race.
Quick look at the ladder, and already things are starting to take shape. Relic, Smilly Squad, Tiger Frowell, the Paul Stanleys, Abs Magic, and, believe it or not, Munchers are setting the pace early with 2 wins apiece, while a few sides are already under pressure to stay in touch. Percentage is massive at this stage, and we've already seen a couple of blowouts that could come back to haunt teams later in the season. Still plenty of footy to play, but the gap is starting to form. And that's all we've got for tonight.
If this is what round 2 looks like, I'm genuinely scared for what's coming next.
And I'll be back next week with more votes, more controversy, and probably a few players asking questions about where they're sitting.
From all of us here, and from Reggie, Velvet Thunder, King, and the ST Funk Express, stay loud, stay weird, and we'll see you next week.
It's more than a